Oh, my friend. Well, these were going to be a video recap for my student Esther, who is an octogenarian. Is that it? Octogenarian? She's over 80 and she is doing great. I've got a lot of different students at a lot of different ages. And the one thing we're doing right now is the same thing I do with every age. It's these spider exercises. Being able to take the thumb and putting it on the high G or low G, and then move to the next string, playing the same sequence of events, 1, 2, 3, 4, on the 1 fret, 2 fret, 3 fret, 4 fret. Being mindful to keep the fingies on the fretboard and that not making that weird buzzing note or muted kind of thing. Long story short, go through the whole process and moving the thumb with it. Muting the string you just played when you go up will really help with figuring out that different string distance. So when we are doing stuff like something silly with a bunch of accent notes and we're using scales to go through it, that you're not always using your thumb. A lot of the time when I have people playing, they come in playing with their thumb, which is great. But then every single thing that we do happens to be with that thumb. So what I do is I get rid of the thumb in the beginning, play with the first finger, then the second finger, third finger. By the time you're done, if you can do your exercises, steady exercises, just using your pinky and playing like eighth notes, like that fast, that's pretty cool with a pinky. And you can do a lot of little tremolos or ostinato things, a lot of different things over the fretboard, whether fretted or not. So the secondary lesson that I'm going to be doing for Esther today is just simply the teeter-totters. Now, I've talked about this online with the Music Monday moment. Started a whole new series, but it's the same concept. Music Mondays, it's live. If you catch me while I'm there, I'll chit-chat with you. But each week on Monday, I'm going to give a little bitty platform on Twitch. If you were to do it and follow it daily, you would be able to play an instrument by the end of the month. The idea is we take the guesswork out of what we're doing here, and anybody can quite literally just put a finger here, finger here, finger here, finger here. And eventually, these notes that we work on that are in like this like half step minor second kind of feeling become the melodies of do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, re, mi, fa. When we do these in different increments, our brain remembers what these notes are. And it goes in like, I guess, a challenging way of saying threes. And then if we did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When we do this over and over again, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're exhibiting that we know all the notes in C major, that we know all the notes in C major with all their correlating chords. When we get through this process of being able to go through the whole thing, we can make melodies. C major, B diminished, C to major, F minor, C. Cha, cha, cha. When we get to that point, it's really cool to see the inspiration that comes out just by practicing the practice of practicing. So, Esther, if you ever get online, Google your own name, go into YouTube and Google Wago, you will find the videos that await you. Till that day, I could just make these videos in the hopes that you will actually see them. However, I figured since she's paying for the lessons, I will put this out to the channel, and if you dig it, dig it. All right, here we go. Review. Here's our spider exercises at 3:45, starting at our spider exercises, to our teeter-totters. Today's chord of the week is going to be B diminished. We also know it as being a G major 7. So if you can play the G major, which is our first finger on the 2nd fret D note, which is C string, C sharp, or D flat, D. Hold it there, anchor. Second finger bookends all the way up top on the A string. So we have an A, B flat, B, or A sharp, B. We're going to be using that B, D, B, and then wrap our third finger all the way around for that E string. E, F, F sharp, or G flat, G. When we leave those 3 there, we get a G major. What we're going to do is go through the idea of when you have 4 strings on the instrument and you're playing a triad, that means that one of those notes is going to have to be duplicated. In this case, the G major has a G on the 3rd fret, open G at the bottom, unless you had a low G. Either way, it's a G chord with 2 types of Gs. When we take that G and we move it down to an F sharp, which is its major 7th, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So when we play the other 2 notes, the D and the B, rather than going, which is silly, we just put our whole finger over it. This is another great one to use all your fingers. G major 7. G major 7 has an F sharp in it. And then when we move our G major 7 to our G dominant 7, we get a G7. La, 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 la. But I would never talk to you two with the most words I could in a sentence. So why would I say things twice musically? I wouldn't say C, D, E, F, G, A, G, C. I would say C as in C major, D as in D minor, E as E minor, F as F major, G as G major, A as A minor, and we have our B diminished, which looks a whole heck of a lot like that G7. Meaning, when you take a major triad and then you put its 3rd as a diminished, you get a dominant 7th. So, this C7 that you know as a C7 is also called an E diminished. What is the note right before D? C. So C sharp diminished goes to D. What's a C sharp diminished? I don't know. What's the 5th of D? D, E, F sharp, G, A. So if I know how to play an A, I can move down my top A note because I've got 2 A notes. And I move that down to an A flat or a G sharp. I get a major 7, which is awesome. Just like a C major to a C major 7, I have an A major to an A major 7. And if I drop this note to incorporate a G natural, I have a C sharp, G natural, E, and an A, which gives me a very distinctive A7 kind of sound. However, if I call that A7 actually a C sharp diminished, we get it in the context of D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G major, A major. That's your 5th that you're going to want to turn into a dominant. A major goes to a B minor, C sharp diminished. Looks an awful like the A7, yeah. And then it resolves to your magical D. So, this week, your teeter-totters will be with B diminished. You could call it F, like F double sharp dominant, but we wouldn't double sharp anything. Heck, I could call a G sharp a F triple sharp if I wanted to. Long story short is, these have certain names. We don't have to know what they are in the beginning just to hear. What we're talking about vertically is when we play C to D, that's a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. Now watch me now. A to B is a whole step. So there's 3 whole steps. And then a half step. Our half steps between our 3 to the 4 and then our 7 to the 8 or the 1, the repeat, the octave, which you know because we've been working on those. So what we do is what we see is no matter where I am, C to D, D to E, F, G, A, B, C, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E flat? What? So what happens is we go through all these. You do not need to know all the names of these to know what they are. If you don't know that E major has 4 sharps, the fingering pattern is still going to be correct. And by process of elimination when we're playing inside of a key structure, which generally has maybe 3-4 chords at best in music we're going to be doing, we won't stray too far away. So in the key of F, you will hands down know that B flat major is also in the key of F as the major fourth. From the concept of learning C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, I can say start that C major scale, but start at F. And go to F or C. Either way, you're going to encompass F to G as a whole step, G to A as a whole step, and then A to B as a whole step. So unlike a do, re, mi, fa with a half step of 3, when we start that C major scale at F, we get a raised note, which means our fourth is going to be sharp, which gives us a modal structure, which is one of the 3 major modes that we can derive from Ionian. So the purpose of today is to hear that our C major to a D minor to an E minor to an F major are the first 4 positions, a progression if you want, of 1, 2, 3, and 4. The reason why we learn our spider exercises and learn the chords is so sometimes if you know your progression is a C major to an F major to a G major, hopping around using improper fingering makes it more strenuous to do stuff like this, when you can just substitute our natural note for our C because of our spideys with a pinky, and then have all these fingers relatively ready to go from the C to the F, and then these 3 fingers just need to go down to play this, meaning our fingers are much freer to do what they want with a melodic structure. When our hands are in the right positioning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Getting rid of the thumb, utilizing these with the spider technique, and just working these up and getting muscle memory. Remembering that this is only to do just, like subconsciously just go through the process of moving our fingers up and down, up and down. And eventually the idea will come constructively through that these kind of movements that we would do like with a, let's say a C6, to a D6. So a C6 would be a C major, C, E, G, and then we add the 6th of C, which is A. So a C major with an A gives us a C6 chord. If we had a D major and we wanted to add the 6, we would add the B, right? D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. So if I played a D and put down my finger right here, that gives me a B minor 7. So that blows my brain in something saying, wait a minute, chords have 2 different names. That's kind of where we're going to leave you today, but the chords we've been getting at come from a stem of having an enharmonic equivalent. Just the same as I would really never call this F flat, but essentially E is an F flat. And I would really never call this a B sharp. However, a C note is essentially a B sharp. So what we do is we learn what keys have those and what don't. We're hardly ever going to play anything in C sharp. A lot of the time, most instruments that are tuned in C sharp, like a traditional harp or just something that's outside the box, those people that know how to play that are going to modulate this to be in whatever key you're in anyways. If you're on a lap steel or something and you've got between the 2 different tunings, if you're playing with somebody, you're already predisposed to knowing what kind of music you're going to be playing and doing that. With the ukulele, the reason why I teach this structure of playing something like an C major, F major, and a G major this way with different fingerings is so when we move it up to C sharp, we can play that same progression and utilize our first finger as that foretold bar chord. So C, F, G can look like C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, or D, F sharp. Yeah. Or A flat, or A, yeah, D, F sharp, A. So the idea of this is, if you were to ever see this video, I hope you do. It's the same stuff we do every lesson for 30 minutes. I try and give a 15-minute recap on what we went over. Also, letting a lot more vocabulary, more concepts infiltrate through. So in the hopes you'll watch this video over and over and over again, and it will always have a plethora of musical related information for you. Esther, it was great seeing you today. For those of you online who are watching this as the free lesson, thanks. And if you're in Hilo, visiting on vacation, stop by Big Island Guitars and say hi-de hello. I'm here on Mondays and Saturdays currently. Or you could reach out to us on Big Island, tinyfootprint.com. Aloha.